Welcome back to Broadcasting Seeds, the show where we pull back the veil on the strange, the hidden, and sometimes the downright bizarre. I'm your host, Bennett Tanton, and today we're taking a deep dive into the holiday season, but not the version you hear about in carols or see plastered on Hallmark cards. No, we're digging into the esoteric, the ancient, and the symbolic roots of Christmas. This episode is called The Birth of the Sun, Unveiling the Hidden Mysteries of Christmas. Now, before you go thinking I'm here to ruin your holiday spirit, let me clarify. This isn't about tearing down Christmas trees or telling you Santa works for the Illuminati. It's about understanding the deeper layers of meaning behind what many consider the most wonderful time of the year. Because, let's be honest, there's more going on here than meets the eye. Why does Christmas land on December 25th? Why is it so closely tied to the winter solstice? And what's with all this symbolism surrounding light and darkness? Could there be connections to ancient sun worship, astrology, and even secret societies? Spoiler alert, yes. And it's fascinating. In this episode, we'll explore the astronomical importance of the solstice, uncover the ancient traditions that influence modern Christmas, and connect the dots between sun worship, astrology, and the hidden teachings of secret societies. Along the way, we'll look at how this all ties back to the story of Christ and why the symbolism of the sun and the sun is so powerful even today. So buckle up, folks, because we're about to blend biblical truth, ancient mysteries, and a sprinkle of conspiracy into one fascinating package. And as always, my goal isn't just to inform you, it's to make you think, question, and maybe even feel a little more connected to the bigger picture. Ready? Let's get into it. Let's start with the basics. The winter solstice. It's the shortest day and the longest night of the year, a celestial event that ancient civilizations watched with awe and reverence. Imagine living in a time before Google Calendar, GPS, or even reliable maps. Your survival depended on understanding the rhythms of the natural world. The solstice wasn't just another day. It was a cosmic signal, a literal turning point when the sun, the giver of life, stopped retreating and began its slow march back to dominance. For many ancient cultures, this wasn't just astronomy, it was theology. They saw the sun as a divine force, a god, or at least a symbol of one. It makes sense when you think about it. The sun is what keeps us alive. Without it, there's no food, no warmth, no light. So when it started to wane in the sky during the fall, people panicked a little. Rituals, feasts, and ceremonies sprang up to ensure its return, a cosmic bribe, if you will, and the winter solstice was proof that their efforts had paid off. Now, fast forward a few thousand years to us, sitting in our heated homes, scrolling social media under the glow of LED lights. The solstice might not seem like a big deal anymore, but for the ancients, it was everything. It marked the death of darkness and the rebirth of light, a cycle so profound that it became the foundation for countless myths, legends, and yes, even modern holidays. Take the Yule celebrations of the Norse. They burned massive logs to honor the sun's return, a tradition we've sanitized into today's Christmas Yule logs. Or look at the Roman festival of Saturnalia, a week-long party of gift-giving, feasting, and, let's be honest, a bit of chaos. Sound familiar? And here's where things start to get interesting. Around 274 A.D., the Roman Emperor Aurelian declared December 25th as the birth date of Sol Invictus, the unconquered sun. This deity was a blend of various sun gods worshipped throughout the empire. The date wasn't random. It was tied to the solstice, which they believed was the moment the sun began its comeback tour. So, how did we go from celebrating Sol Invictus to celebrating Jesus Christ? That's a story of cultural adaptation, or maybe co-optation, depending on how you see it. Early Christians didn't have a specific date for Christ's birth. In fact, there's no biblical mention of December 25th. But as Christianity spread through the Roman Empire, it made sense to align Christ's birth with a pre-existing celebration of light's triumph over darkness. Think about it. The sun was seen as a savior, rising to bring life back to the earth. Jesus, often referred to as the light of the world, fit that symbolism perfectly. Whether it was a strategic move or divine synchronicity, the result was the same. December 25th became a bridge, a way to bring together old traditions and new beliefs under one, well, shining star. And that's the beauty of this time of year. It's not just about one story, one tradition, or even one religion. It's about something universal, the human need to celebrate hope, renewal, and the promise of light in our darkest moments. Sun worship is one of the oldest and most universal practices in human history. From the frozen tundras of Scandinavia to the blazing deserts of Egypt, civilizations have looked to the sun not just as a celestial body, but as a divine force, the ultimate giver of life. It's not hard to see why, if the sun didn't show up tomorrow, let's just say your morning coffee would be the least of your worries. Let's start in Egypt, where the sun god Ra was basically the Beyoncé of the pantheon. Ra wasn't just a god, he was the god. According to Egyptian mythology, every day, Ra sailed across the sky in his solar bark, bringing light to the world. By night, he journeyed through the underworld, battling chaos and darkness to ensure the sun would rise again. This daily cycle wasn't just a cool story. It was a metaphor for life, death, and rebirth, themes that resonated deeply with the ancient Egyptians. Now, hop over to Mesoamerica, where the Aztecs also had a thing for the sun. They believed the sun god, Huitzilopochtli, needed regular sacrifices to keep the world turning. Literally. No sacrifices, no sunrise. Talk about high stakes. Their rituals might seem extreme, but they reflect a common thread. The idea that the sun is both a benevolent giver and a force that demands respect, even appeasement. And then there's the Roman Empire. By the time we get to Emperor Aurelian in the 3rd century AD, Rome was a cultural melting pot, absorbing deities and traditions from across its vast territories. Aurelian, ever the savvy politician, decided to unify his empire by promoting Sol Invictus, the unconquered sun, as a supreme deity. Sol Invictus wasn't just a god, he was a symbol of resilience, power, and eternal renewal. A perfect mascot for an empire that saw itself as eternal. Here's where it gets interesting. Sol Invictus wasn't entirely new. He was a blend of earlier sun deities, including the Persian Mithras and the Syrian Elagabalus. Mithras, in particular, has fascinating ties to Christianity. His followers celebrated his birth on, you guessed it, December 25th, and their rituals included communal meals that some scholars say resemble early Christian Eucharists. Coincidence? Maybe. Or maybe it's a case of spiritual recycling. But sun worship wasn't confined to these big-name civilizations. In Celtic cultures, the sun was celebrated during the festival of Yule, marking the solstice with fire and feasting. In Hinduism, Surya, the sun god, remains a central figure, with devotees offering prayers and water to the rising sun every morning, a practice that continues to this day. What's clear across all these examples is that the sun wasn't just a physical phenomenon to ancient people. It was a symbol of the divine, a constant reminder of the delicate balance between life and death, order and chaos, light and darkness. And it wasn't just about survival, it was about meaning. Sun worship tapped into humanity's deepest fears and hopes. The fear that the darkness might one day win, and the hope that it never would. This tension, this eternal cycle of death and rebirth, is something we see mirrored not just in ancient rituals, but in the very fabric of our modern holiday celebrations. As we move forward, we'll see how these solar traditions evolved, blending with astrology and esoteric teachings to form a hidden undercurrent in history, one that still ripples through our world today. If you've ever read a horoscope or heard someone blame Mercury retrograde for their bad day, congratulations. You've already dipped your toes into the world of astrology. But astrology is more than pop culture mysticism. It's an ancient system that's been used to decode the heavens and their supposed influence on our lives for thousands of years. At the heart of it all, you guessed it, the sun. In astrology, the sun is the central figure representing the core of our identity, vitality, and life force. It's no coincidence that the sun occupies this pivotal role in the zodiac. After all, it's the anchor of our solar system, the celestial body that literally keeps us alive. Its journey through the sky and the 12 signs of the zodiac was seen by ancient astrologers as a map for understanding the cycles of life and the universe. Let's talk about the winter solstice. Around December 21st or 22nd, the sun reaches its lowest point in the sky, marking the darkest day of the year. For 3 days, it appears to pause before beginning its climb back toward the heavens. This death and rebirth of the sun wasn't just an astronomical event, it was a cosmic drama. To the ancients, this moment symbolized transformation, renewal, and the promise of light returning to the world. Astrologically, the winter solstice occurs as the sun enters Capricorn, the zodiac sign ruled by Saturn. Now, Capricorn isn't the flashiest sign. It's not throwing wild parties like Leo or spouting deep poetry like Pisces. Capricorn is about discipline, structure, and enduring the hard times to reap future rewards. Fitting, right? The sun, reborn in Capricorn, reflects the need to push through the darkness of winter, both literally and metaphorically. Here's where things get even more symbolic. The journey of the sun through the zodiac parallels the human life cycle. For instance, Aries, the first sign, marks the spring of life, youth, energy, and beginnings. Leo, ruled by the sun itself, represents the height of life's vitality and creativity. Capricorn, on the other hand, aligns with wisdom, endurance, and the ability to survive through challenges, much like winter itself. The connection between the sun and astrology wasn't just theoretical. Ancient astrologers used the sun's position to determine planting and harvesting cycles, predict political changes, and even decide the best times for rituals and ceremonies. For them, the sun's movements were a language, a way for the divine to communicate with humanity. But it wasn't just about the sun. The other celestial bodies played supporting roles in this cosmic drama. The moon, for example, represented the emotional and intuitive side of life, while the planets like Venus and Mars symbolized love and action, respectively. Together, they formed a celestial clockwork, each movement carrying profound meaning for those who knew how to interpret it. This brings us back to December 25th. Why is this date significant beyond the solstice? Ancient astrologers believed this was the moment when the sun, having been reborn, began its upward climb, symbolizing hope and renewal. It's no wonder that cultures across the world chose this time to celebrate gods and figures associated with light, life, and salvation. And this astrological significance isn't just a relic of the past. Even today, many esoteric and occult traditions see the sun's journey as a spiritual metaphor. It's a reminder that darkness is temporary and light will always return. Whether we realize it or not, the rhythms of the cosmos continue to shape our collective consciousness. As we move into the next section, we'll explore how secret societies and occult traditions have kept these solar and astrological symbols alive, weaving them into their teachings and practices. If you've ever felt like certain groups know more than they let on, you're not alone. Secret societies have captured the imagination and suspicion of humanity for centuries. From the Freemasons to the Rosicrucians, these organizations have long been accused of hiding knowledge, manipulating power, and guarding mysteries that most of us can only guess at. And at the center of many of their symbols and rituals, you'll find the sun. Let's start with the Freemasons, arguably the most well-known secret society in history. Their symbolism is a treasure trove of solar imagery. The sun is often paired with the moon, representing balance, light and darkness, masculine and feminine, day and night. Masonic temples are designed to align with the east, the direction of the rising sun, symbolizing enlightenment and the pursuit of truth. The idea is simple, but profound. The sun's light reveals what's hidden, just as knowledge dispels ignorance. But it doesn't stop there. The Masonic hierarchy itself can be seen as a solar journey. Members ascend through degrees of initiation, with each level symbolizing greater illumination, both literally and figuratively. This mirrors the sun's daily and yearly cycles, moving from darkness to light, ignorance to wisdom. Then there's the Rosicrucians, a mystical organization that emerged in Europe during the 17th century. Their teachings combine Christian theology with esoteric wisdom, much of which revolves around celestial bodies. To the Rosicrucians, the sun wasn't just a physical object, it was a spiritual force, a manifestation of divine light. They believed that understanding the sun's mysteries could unlock higher truths about the universe and humanity's place in it. But what's the big deal about the sun anyway? Why do these groups, and many others, focus on it so heavily? The answer lies in what the sun represents: life, power, and transcendence. The sun is eternal, rising every day no matter how dark the night. It's a universal symbol of hope, perseverance, and the triumph of light over darkness. This idea wasn't limited to the Freemasons and Rosicrucians. Many occult traditions see the sun as a bridge between the material and the spiritual. Its energy sustains life on earth, but its light also symbolizes higher knowledge and divine revelation. In alchemy, for example, the sun represents gold, the ultimate goal of the alchemist, both literally and spiritually. And let's not forget the more shadowy side of secret societies. Some conspiracy theories claim that modern elites use solar symbolism to signal their hidden agendas. The all-seeing eye on the back of the US dollar bill, often associated with the Illuminati, is said to represent the sun's omnipresent power. Whether or not you buy into these theories, it's clear that solar imagery has a long and complex history, intertwining with the themes of control, enlightenment, and secrecy. What's fascinating is how these symbols remain hidden in plain sight. From corporate logos to government seals, solar motifs are everywhere, subtly influencing our subconscious. Is it just a coincidence, or are these symbols reminders of ancient truths planted by those who understand their deeper meaning? Whatever the case, the sun's journey, its rise, fall, and rebirth, continues to inspire not just secret societies, but humanity as a whole. It's a cycle that speaks to something universal, our need to believe that no matter how dark things get, the light will return. In the next section, we'll bring all of this together, exploring how the sun's symbolic rebirth aligns with the story of Christ and the modern celebration of Christmas. Bring it all together: Christmas, the winter solstice, and the ancient symbolism of the sun. We've seen how cultures throughout history celebrated the rebirth of the sun during the darkest time of year. But what does this have to do with Christmas and the birth of Christ? Turns out, more than you might think. First, let's address the elephant in the room: December 25th. There's no biblical evidence that Jesus was born on this date. In fact, most biblical scholars agree that the timing of Christ's birth was likely in the spring, given the presence of shepherds in the fields. So, why December 25th? The answer lies in a blend of practicality and symbolism. By the 4th century AD, Christianity was gaining traction in the Roman Empire, but pagan traditions were still deeply ingrained in society. To ease the transition, early church leaders adopted December 25th, already celebrated as the birthday of Sol Invictus, the unconquered sun. This date aligned with the winter solstice, a time when people celebrated the return of light after the darkest days of the year. And here's where it gets profound. In Christian theology, Jesus is often referred to as the light of the world. His birth represents the ultimate triumph of light over darkness, life over death, and hope over despair. The overlap with solstice celebrations wasn't just convenient, it was meaningful. The rebirth of the sun and the birth of the sun carried the same universal message. The darkness will not last forever. But there's another layer to this symbolism. In esoteric and mystical traditions, the sun often represents the divine, the source of all life. By aligning Jesus' birth with the rebirth of the sun, early Christians emphasized his role as the ultimate source of spiritual light. It's a powerful metaphor that transcends time, speaking to our deepest fears and hopes. Let's take a closer look at some of the traditions we associate with Christmas today. The evergreen tree, for example, symbolizes eternal life, just as the sun's rebirth promises the return of growth and vitality. Lights on trees and homes echo ancient solstice fires, which were lit to call back the sun's warmth and energy. Even the star atop the Christmas tree has dual significance, pointing to both the Star of Bethlehem and the celestial cycles that guided ancient rituals. And then there's the gift giving. While this tradition is often tied to the gifts of the Magi, it also echoes Roman Saturnalia, during which people exchange tokens as a celebration of abundance and goodwill. Once again, we see a merging of traditions, each contributing to the tapestry of what we now call Christmas. But here's the thing. Whether you view Christmas as a sacred celebration, a secular holiday, or a mix of both, its underlying message is universal. It's about light returning in the midst of darkness, about hope when all seems lost. Whether that light comes from the sun, or something else entirely depends on your perspective. This isn't about debunking Christmas or diminishing its spiritual significance. If anything, understanding its deeper layers only enhances its beauty. It's a reminder that, across cultures and centuries, humanity has always sought to celebrate the triumph of light over darkness. So, as you gather with family and friends this holiday season, take a moment to appreciate the layers of meaning woven into the celebration. The birth of the sun and the rebirth of the sun aren't just historical coincidences. They're reflections of a timeless truth, that even in our darkest moments, there is always a promise of light. And that, my friends, brings us to the end of this episode of Broadcasting Seeds. Today, we peeled back the layers of history, astronomy, and spirituality to uncover the hidden symbolism behind Christmas and its connections to the winter solstice, ancient sun worship, and the rebirth of light. Whether you're lighting a Christmas tree, exchanging gifts, or simply enjoying the glow of holiday lights, there's a deeper story behind these traditions. A story that stretches across centuries and cultures, uniting humanity in our shared longing for hope and renewal. Now, as you go about your holiday season, I challenge you to look at it with fresh eyes. Think about the sun's eternal cycle, the triumph of light over darkness, and the profound connections between the natural and the spiritual. It's a story far older than any one religion or culture, yet it's one we all share. Before I go, let me remind you, if you enjoyed today's episode, please take a moment to like, share, and review the podcast. Your support helps us keep planting seeds of curiosity and discovery. And hey, if you've got thoughts, questions, or maybe your own theories about the topics we cover, don't be shy. Reach out. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you for joining me, Bennett Tanton, for another dive into the strange, the hidden, and the profound. Stay curious, keep questioning, and remember, even in the darkest nights, the light is always on its way back.
Snow falls quiet on an endless road. The sky's a canvas painted gold. Engine fires whispers through the trees. Old songs carried on a winter breeze. They watch the heavens trace their mark, kept the flame against the dark. Every shadow holding some old sign, hope stitched into the wheel of time. And the world kept turning slow through the cold and drifting snow. Still they waited for the dawn, knowing light would carry on. So raise your eyes to the break of day, when the longest night finally fades away. There's a promise written in the sky, love outlives the winter's cry. From the solstice fire to Christmas lights, it's the story of the soul, long fight through darkness, down and sleepless nights, till hope burns bright, till hope burns bright. Stone and star, religion and myth, all the worlds we used to live with. Secret signs carved into the page, carried quiet through the age. Golden halos whispered names, different tongues but truth the same. Every tribe beneath the sun, longing for the Holy One. And the heart keeps beating on, waiting for the coming dawn. Somewhere deep inside we know the winter never owns our soul. So raise your eyes to the break